Creating for web solution. In this video, I will cover how you can create the account in the WeP GST platform. So on the top of right, you can see the create account section over here. Click on the create account section. First, you will see the subscription page will be open over here. So first, you will see the offer which we have given to the company. You can generate the unlimited e-invoices for the 6 month, which is a free of cost. Only you have to pay the one-time registration fee, and I will show you in this video how you can pay that 100 rupees one-time registration fee and how you can use the platform, how you can create the account for using the platform. So give the full name. Suppose I give the full name. Who will use this platform, and the email ID. I'm using some. Use this email ID, and I will use mobile number. And the company name. Suppose I give, and the selector and select the services which you want to use in the platform. So all three options are available for the GST, for the e-invoice, and the e-way bill as well. So click on the subscribe. Once you click on the subscribe page, it will directly take you to the payment page. You can see the product you are using and the validity and the registration fee and the action fee for paying the one-time registration fee. Select the online payment. So once you select the online payment, it will directly take you to the payment page. You have to pay where you have to pay the one-time registration fee. So give the details which will ask over here. Now once you click on the pay now section, the one OTP will be asked, and click on the pay section. So once you click on the pay section, it will directly take you to the registration page where the information which you have already given in the previous page will be auto populated over this section. So fill this form. I will fill this form. I have given the designation as an admin. The company enters and the GST. The GST username, same username which you have given as an email. And select the GST. Give your GST number over here and confirm your GST number over this section. So once you confirm with the GST number, it will directly auto populate your PAN number and the state code as well. So now you have seen, now you have filled all the details. Once you will go to the once you fill all the details, go to the I agree with terms and condition and register myself. So once I register myself, it will show you the customer registration has been done successfully. You will get the login details to your registered mobile number and email. Click on the OK. So once you get the details, sign in, go to the sign in and give that details, email ID, and the password I will give. The password will be your mobile number which you have given. and once you click on the sign in, it will directly take you to the current password change section. And now select the current password, give the current password, that is a mobile number 973. New password you want to give. So while creating here you'll see the password format also, at least 8 characters. One is long and one is uppercase and one is lowercase. And just confirm the password that you have created. Password has been matched and I will change the password. So once I change the password, please log in again for the new password with the new password. Click on the OK and give in login. Password and sign in. So once you sign into platform, you will see the summary dashboard, and you have to go for the first page. You have to go for the you have to use a user manual how you can use this platform. So go on the subscription page. It will directly take you to the subscription page, and here you will get the subscription manuals like for the GST manual, for the e-invoice and the e-way bill as well. So click on the particular manual you want to see how you can use the e-invoice. It will show you how the details could be filled and how you can generate the e-invoice from this web portal itself. So this is the how you can create the account in the web portal.
To check that, so you have to go into the search menu over here and then select e-invoice status of taxpayer. So if you click on this particular link, you will get to see a page over here that is saying status of the e-invoice enablement of the taxpayer. So if you give your GST number over here and enter the captcha, then you will get to see a message from the NIC portal whether you are being enabled for generating e-invoice or not. So I'll just select one of the GSTN over here, maybe this one. So as you can see, this particular GSTN number of this particular trade name is not entitled or not enabled for e-invoice is not enabled for this tax. So this particular person does not need to generate e-invoice as of now. And if I select another GSTN over here, so here you can see this is for our company, and our company is enabled for e-invoicing from 1st October 2020 onwards itself. So we are entitled to generate e-invoices. Also, you have a bunch of notification over here that this particular information is being fetched from your GSTR 3B filing status. So if you are doing your GSTR 3B correctly, then this particular information will be correct for you. Other than that, you still need to check it with your CA if your turnover is more than 50 crores or not. And if he says that it is for more than 50 crore, then you can register it anyway. Even if this particular form says that you are not enabled for e-invoicing, you can still register with the e-invoicing. To do that, you need to go on to the next menu, which will I'll show you. For that, you have to go into registration and e-invoice enablement. So if you go on here and give your GSTN number and enter the captcha, now you will be redirected to a form which will enable you to generate e-invoices. So once you have that, you can log in onto the platform using your login credentials over here. So I'll use my login credentials as of now. So this is now the new facility of the government that they are collecting the data of the technical person of that this particular account. So if you give your technical person's number, the government will contact that person in any case there are any issues regarding the government portal and your particular login. So in those scenarios, this information will be required. So once you give that, you can exit it here. And now to register WEP as a GSP for you, you need to go into API registration, click on user credentials, and check the list of API users. So if you are using any kind of e-invoicing services in the past as well, then you can check the list of API user. And since we are WEP is a GSP itself, so we are using our services only. So we can say that WEP is a GSP for us. And this type of box should be available for you as well. So once you register WEP as a GSP for you, this type of box will be available for you. And to do that, you need to go into API registration, user credentials, and create API user for you. So first of all, you will be redirected to an OTP, which will be sent to your registered mobile number. Once you do that, you have to select WEP as a GSP for you. After entering the OTP, you have to select WEP as a GSP for you and just create your e-invoice username and password. And those username and password will be required on the WEP GST panel know that you are using WEP GST services. So you have to note down that those username and password once you have done the API registration over here. So once that is done, for you, then you can go on to the WEP GST panel over here. Sign in on to the login credentials that you will get in your mail ID that I just showed you. If you sign in, now the next option will be going on to the master management. So as soon as you land onto the WEP GST panel, you need to go into the master management and click on add GSTN. Add GSTN option will be used if you have more than one GSTN registration for you. So the first GSTN that you provided will be used to create your login. And if you have more than that, then you need to provide it in the add GSTN configuration option over here. So you have to give your GSTN username, your GSTN number, and then the PAN number and state code will be pre-populated using your GSTN number. Then you have to give your address, company name. And if you're using the e-Waybill and the e-invoicing module, you have to give e-Waybill username and password and the e-invoice username and password. So the e-invoice username and password could be the same as the e-Waybill username and password. To simplify it, if you are already using e-Waybill services for your company, you must have an e-Waybill username and password for it. And if now you want to use e-invoicing services for your company, you can use the same e-Waybill username and password and provide it under the e-invoice username and password. So the government has given this facility for you so that you don't have to create another login and another steps for e-invoice generation. But in case you don't have the e-Waybill username and password, the steps I showed you earlier were the steps to be followed, where you register WEP as a GSP for you and you go onto the NIC portal and create e-invoice username and password for you. Once you get that, you can use that to create your GSTN registration over here. Once your GSTN registration is done, a list like this will be populated down here. If you have 5 logins or the 5 GSTN, then you can have 5 GSTNs over here. If you just have a single registration on, then only a single list will be populated. So once that is done, you can use the e-invoicing module over here. So before going on to the e-invoicing module, I would like to explain the e-invoicing template of ours that you will be using to generate e-invoice for your particular business. So this is our e-invoicing template over here. The first section is the document details section. As you can see, here is the serial number for the location which you are generating the invoices and the supply type. Supply type could be B2B, supply to a special economic zone, with pay, without pay, supply to a export supply, with pay, without pay, and deemed export supply. Then the next option is whether this particular transaction is applicable for reverse charge or not. If it is, then you have to select yes, otherwise you can select no. And if this particular transaction is being done through an e-commerce, then you have to provide the e-commerce GSTN. And if IGST is applicable for on this inter-supply, then you have to provide yes or no for that. Otherwise, you can leave it blank as well. And then what is the document type, whether it is an invoice or a credit note or a debit note. So these type of details you have to provide in the document details section apart from the document number and the document name, document date of course. Then comes the seller details section. So once you have given the document details, then you can give your seller details, which will contain the seller GST and seller legal name, seller trade name, seller address, seller location, seller pin code, seller state code. Same is the buyer detail section where you have to give your GST buyer legal name, buyer trade name, buyer address, buyer location, buyer pin code, buyer state name, state of supply, and then the dispatch details as such, and the shipping details. Then you have to give your item list, what is the item serial number, what is the item description, whether it is a service or a good, what is the HSN code of that particular item, and then the batch details if you are transporting the goods in a batch. And then you can give the quantity details, whether it is one quantity or more than one quantity, what is the unit of measurement, what is the unit price, selling total amount, discount, the pre-taxable value is it. So all these kind of details you have to give it over here, the GST rate. If the particular transaction is applicable for IGST, then you have to give IGST amount. Otherwise, you can give CGST and SGST amount. So you must have noticed that not all fields are filled over here. So we have a reason for that. In the e-invoice attribute list over here, if you see in the second sheet, we have a mandatory field section over here. So these details are being given by the government. So only these fields are mandatory for you to generate any kind of e-invoice. Other than that, it depends upon your transaction, whether you want to give those details or not. If your supply demands it, if your transaction demands it, you can give those details and it will be reflected onto your invoice data and it will be pushed to the IRP portal itself. But if you don't want to give it, then you can leave it blank as well. And now comes the last option over here, that is the e-way bill details. So if you want to generate e-way bill along with the invoice that you are generating, then you can give the e-way bill details over here as well. Otherwise, you can leave it blank so that you can use the IRN number that you generated for these invoices. And at some later point, when you have the transporter details with you, then you can generate the e-way bill for that particular invoice. So I hope the e-invoice template was clear to you. So now what we can do, we can move on to the e-invoice dashboard. So once we have prepared the data, now we can log in onto the WeP GST platform of ours. And now we can move on to the e-invoice dashboard. So this dashboard will show you summary of your particular month. So this summary will be for your generated records, your cancelled records, your not generated records, and the error records that you have got in the particular month. So generated is simple as that, how many invoices you have generated in that particular month. Cancelled is how many invoices you have cancelled. It may be for any reason. It may be for a duplicate invoice you have generated or invoice that is not required at all now. And then comes the not generated records. So you have uploaded data for these records, but you are yet to generate the e-invoice for it. And error records where you have got any kind of errors while you were trying to generate the e-invoice. So yeah, now comes the summary detail section. The GSTN wise segregation will be there of each of your generated record, cancelled record, not generated records, and error records. So suppose you have generated 10 records and you have two GSTN and it is equally divided in the records. Then five will be for one GSTN generated and five will be for another GSTN generated. So it depends for which GSTN you use to generate the IRN number. Now comes the bulk upload option. So the template that I showed you, this will be uploaded on this particular menu, the bulk upload menu. So I have already prepared the e-invoice menu and the e-invoice template, and I have already told you how you can prepare the data in the e-invoice template. So I'll just quickly upload that file over here. So if you click on import data, You can see data has been imported successfully. Now I can go on to the generate iron page for e-invoice. So the total record that I passed onto the WebGST platform were 11, and all of them were processed successfully. So I got no error in my data as of now. And if I get any kind of error, I can click on this link, total error records count, and it will download a CSV file onto my local system. In this particular CSV file, two columns will be added at the last, which will have the error code, the error description. So I can check what is the error in my particular data. I can check that, I can correct that, and I can re-upload that particular file onto the platform so that it will be processed again and move on to the generate iron page. So now the next step will be, once I have uploaded the data, it has been processed successfully. Now I can move on to the generate iron page to generate any kind of e-invoice. So I'll have to select my GSTN number over here and select the from and to date of that particular records that I have supplied to the GST portal. If I click on view summary, since I selected all record type, I am getting records which I have already generated for this particular date range. And if I select not generated over here, so I will get only the fresh records which I have uploaded onto the platforms. Here you can see IRN number is blank for these records, and the error and error description is also blank, as well as the e-way bill number and the e-way bill date. So if I can select all of these records single go, or I can select even just one record. So I'll select one of these records and click on generate e-invoice. So as soon as I clicked on generate e-invoice, it has been successfully generated. So this particular document number SVKMK 186 has been successfully generated on the document date, that is 9th April 2021. And now to check how the invoices look, we can go on to the iron view and print. So if I select the GST number over here and select the particular date range and click on view summary. So here I can see this particular document I just generated. If I want to take a printout of it, I can click on view. And this is how the QR code will look onto the invoices that you are generating from the web portal. The IRN number, as you can see over here. So this is 64 character. If you want to count, you can count. Otherwise, you can scan the QR code over here using the government app. So government has an app to scan the QR code. So once you scan the QR code, you will get details like the GSTN of supplier, the GSTN of recipient, and then the IRN number and the invoice number, the invoice date you will get, and then you will get the item list details and the HSN code of the main item. So these kind of details you will get from the app. And over here you will have your company logo. So you can take a printout of that using the download PDF option. And once that is done, then comes the next option, which is the cancellation of item. So you can even cancel the item that you have generated, but the government has given the provision only to cancel any invoices that you have generated within 24 hours. So within 24 hours, if you want to cancel any of the invoices due to any reason, you can very well cancel it. So I'll just cancel the invoice that I just generated. And here you can see this particular invoice I just generated. The status of this particular invoice is active, as you can see over here. And if I select this invoice, copy the IRN number, paste it over here, select the reason why I'm canceling it, and click on cancel e-invoice. Here you can see e-invoice has been cancelled successfully. And now the status has also changed from active to cancelled. So now comes the next option. If you want to take the report of the invoices that you have generated in this particular month, or the report of the number of not generated records, or the number of records where you got any kind of error, or an entire report of the e-invoice, then you need to come into the e-invoice report section over here. You have to select the GSTN for which you want to take the report, select the document date, and select the record type. So as I explained, not generated, error in generation, generated, and the entire invoice report. And if you click on export, you will get a Excel file in your local system downloaded with all the invoice data.